He's an old head.
Youngins are really starting to get on my damn nerves.
He's a purveyor of nonsense. He's a Georgia high school coaching job influencer. His favorite Bible verse is Jesus wept. He's the man of constant sorrow, Chris Lamb.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, and tonight I got a special guest with us. He is currently retired. I consider him a legend in the state of Georgia. And of course, he's never going to admit to that, but Coach Eric Parker is with us tonight. Thanks for being with us, Coach.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure to be here. I hope you guys are doing great.
Happy Easter, by the way.
By the way, happy Easter. Yes, sir.
Coach, I don't know which little town you're from, but I know you went to Mitchell Baker High School. Was that correct?
Yeah.
So are you from Camilla or are you from?
I'm from Camilla, Georgia, born and raised.
Okay. And who'd you play for in high school?
I played for Coach Jack Rayleigh, and then my senior year, Coach Tom Taylor took over. Man, you know, I was a part of a couple of great football teams down there. Was on the 1983 state championship team that James Jackson was the quarterback. A lot of people remember that name. And, a lot of pride, a lot of history at that time. And, man, I enjoyed it and graduated in 85 and went on to Georgia Southern from there.
Did you play at Georgia Southern?
No, let me tell you, that's an interesting story. And this is one that has really helped me help some kids. So in 1985, when I graduated, the whole thought was, hey, Georgia Southern is up and coming. A lot of buddies, people that I knew had gone to Georgia Southern, walked on, made the team, and was doing well. So, you know, I had this bright idea. I'll go to Georgia Southern. I'll try to walk on route, see if I can't make it. And I didn't realize that half the state of Georgia had that same thought. Plus the fact Georgia Southern was absolutely loaded because they brought back what eventually became the first national championship team for Georgia Southern with Tracy Ham and all those guys. So, you know, when we showed up to try out in the winter, it didn't take long for me to look around and figure out, you know, I might be in over my head a little bit and this probably wasn't going to work out, but I enjoyed being there, stayed around football, got a chance to do a lot of work in the community at Statesboro High, William James Middle School, which is there. And boy, you know, just got a chance to be a student and learn what it was all about and got my coaching career started as a student coach there. So that was kind of my story as far as thinking that, you know, the college football thing was going to work. It did not. And that's why I tell guys, hey, man, enjoy high school football. If you get a chance to move on, great. Use it to your advantage. But at the same time, you know, make sure those lessons you learn and the memories that you have are going to last you for a while and can help promote you to some great heights. And, you know, I don't know. I guess it depends on how you look at it. But I just think those experiences helped me along the way in life and in my career and in my ability to help young people over the last, 3 decades.
Absolutely. I've told kids, you know, we tell them all the time, we're like, look, we control if you play here.
Yeah.
You know, we'll put you out there. I mean, we'll drive you around and take you all this stuff, but you know, we ain't really got nothing to do with whether they offer you or in this day and time, that's become super hard to deal with.
And you know, I think, Chris, one of the things that I have to admit now on the back end of my career, I think that's why that kid that shows up every day and just works hard, may not be the superstar, probably doesn't have any Division I, probably not even Division II offers on the horizon, but just do everything they can to make the team better, enjoys winning, enjoys putting that school name on the front of their jersey. That's just always been my favorite type of player. Now, obviously, you got to have some of those boy dogs, as we call them, that can flat out play in order to win. But I know at the high school level, if you're going to be successful, it's going to be because you have a pretty good group of those hard-nosed kids that I call just football Friday night kids, high school kids. They're probably never going to play, never going to make any money playing the game, but they just love doing what they do, and they make the big difference. And usually when you start looking at region championships, playoff wins, state championships, those top tier guys kind of have a way of balancing out off as far as what's on each sideline. But the difference is those hard-nosed kids that, like I say, are just high school football players. And I think that has a lot to do with why I just felt like it was important always to pour so much into those kids and not neglect them and, just ride the wave of the fame that comes along with coaching 4-star, 5 stars. Now, the 4 stars and 5 stars I've loved them. But I'm making a point of, I think a lot of what we were able to accomplish was because we put so much into those kids that, they just love playing the game. And when they walk across senior night, that's pretty much it.
There's regular old high school football players.
Yep.
So where was your first job? Where did you start at?
So my first job was at Mitchell Baker. I went back to Mitchell Baker when I graduated in 1989. Now, you've got to remember, I'm old, so we were in college in the quarter system.
Mm-hmm.
So right there at the end of Thanksgiving, I finished up my student teaching. I went back to Mitchell Baker and picked right up, of all things, helping coach basketball. Coach Rufus McDuffie, who was just inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, Coaches Hall of Fame here last week. He gave me my first opportunity to coach. I coached JV basketball, and I helped him varsity. The football team, a couple of weeks prior to me getting there, had just won the state championship. And then the basketball team, we went on to win the state championship. And I got to thinking, boy, this coaching gig's pretty cool, Nothing to this.
Yeah.
And, of course, at the time, I didn't understand the importance of having guys like Al Pinkins and some of those hard-nosed guys that I just got through describing to you. So that was my first job, and, boy, I absolutely loved it. But as it turned out, the next year, I ended up at Washington Wilkes coaching for Coach Butch Brooks. And that was really where my football coaching career got started. And I was coaching middle school ball and going out and scouting on Friday nights. And you'll remember this, Chris. This is back when the middle school coaches on the Friday night would always go and scout the team that we're going to play next week.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I did that. I scouted and drew up the scouting reports and kind of, tendencies and hit charts and all that stuff that's done on Huddle. Now we actually had to sit down over the weekend and do it and make sure that I was there on Sunday for meeting to present it to the varsity guys. And that's kind of how I got started. So, man, I was one of those wash the uniforms, take care of clinic on Saturday morning, scout on Friday afternoon type coaches.
So how long were you at Washington Wilkes?
I was at Washington Wilkes for 3 years. And, I got a chance to coach football and basketball there. And Ben Reeves, now this is Ben Reeves Sr. This is the father of Ben Reeves that's at Milton now. He was the D-line coach at Washington Wilkes, and he and I had gotten to be pretty close, and he got his first head job at Social Circle.
I remember that.
And he asked me to come along with him, and I did. And we went over to Social Circle, and, boy, we tried to build a program, a single A program, and, we were okay. We wasn't terrible, but, we learned a lot, and we learned together, and he gave me a chance to have a lot of responsibility as his offensive coordinator. And, I did that for 4 years, and eventually the Laney job came open. And it's pretty interesting about Laney. So during the time that the Laney job came open, Josie was rolling. John Starr was the head coach at Josie. Well, John Starr is married to my first cousin, Jeannie. And so John and I had really just gotten to be close, like, you expect first cousins to be, although it was by marriage. Plus, we were into the profession of coaching. So, man, we spent a lot of time together. We spent a lot of time talking. And probably about a year and a half before it happened, he would call me up and he'd say, listen, man, I'm telling you, I think the Laney job is going to come open. Coach Smart has agreed to be the coach, but, he doesn't plan on doing it long. I think they're going to be looking for a coach, and I think it's got a chance to be great. And his reasoning is I just feel like Josie and Laney share the same kids for the most part. A lot of them are related.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much live in the same neighborhood. So I feel like what we have done here at Josie, somebody could go in and do at Laney. And, at the time, I just, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Let me know if something ever happens. And it was kind of one of those, just kind of brush it off and keep it moving. And lo and behold, about, like I said, a year and a half later, he calls me up, hey, man, the job's open now. I want to recommend you. I think you need to put your stuff in. So one thing led to another. I actually got an interview. I got the job. And it was one of those deals where I probably was nowhere near ready. But I just, I kind of felt like I was like a youngster. You couldn't tell me that I didn't know X's and O's and I couldn't organize. And, I was that dog that caught that mail truck, and I really hadn't had a plan on what was going to happen when I did. And next thing you know, I'm named the head coach at Lucy C. Laney, and boy, it was a whirlwind from there. And I think, and I'm a man of big faith. People that know me know that. I don't think that anything just happens by chance. I think what happened with me getting the Laney job, especially the first 3 years, the good Lord really prepared me for something that he was going to give me and he was going to make me responsible for. And that was the ministry of coaching. And the reason I say that is because my first 3 years went 0-10, 1-9, 3-7. And boy, you want to talk about some doubts. You want to talk about some down times. You want to talk about just kind of second guessing yourself about whether or not you could really do this or not. But I think the biggest thing, and I share this now because one of the things I get a chance to do is I get a chance to go around and I do a little consult work when it comes to leadership, team building. And I do it for all different types of groups, schools, organizations. And I always talk about the 0-10, 1-9, 3-7 years, because I think the difference between those years and what came after it was just me and starting to understand what leadership was really about. I had to step back and I had to basically say, listen, 0-10, 1-9, 3-7, there's something starting with the top man, which is me, that's not happening, that has to happen. And I think from that point forth, I started to understand the importance of being a great leader. Started understanding what makes people want to put their selfish ambitions aside and try to be a part of what it is you're selling. And I think that only came because I was put in a situation where I had to question those things. And it forced me to really look at myself. It forced me to go and find people and sit down and talk to people and research what great leaders were all about. And we took the same X's and O's. We took the same strategy and mindset, and we just put a little bit better leadership to it. And then after that, we never missed the playoffs again.
Well,
in my entire career, we went to the playoffs every year after that, won a bunch of regions, won a state championship, had some really good seasons, really great teams. And I'm not bragging on what I did. What I am saying is that, boy, sometimes those lessons up front, if you will learn them right, they can certainly help you down the road. And that's my story, and I tell guys that all the time.
That's awesome. And I'm going to back up a little bit because I'm pretty sure when I was at Aquinas, we played each other when you were at Social Circle, because I remember Coach Reeves when he was there.
Right.
And we played up at y'all's place one time, and I remember one of our kids, he goes down on kickoff, and he just laid one of y'all's jokers, just slam out. And he turned to y'all's crowd, and he Diamond Dallas Page, diamond cutted the crowd or whatever. And we're like, all right, now you better get your tail back over here. You better be quiet. And the next punt, somebody from Social Circle looked him up and just just knocked that joker slam out. I mean, you could see it coming. I was up top. You could see it because, Marty Jackson was the head coach at Aquinas.
Right.
I was community coaching at the time. And I just remember that kid got hit so hard and concussed so bad, he ran off the y'all sideline. And we asked him later, said one of y'all looked at him and he was like, man, that kid knocked the crap out of me. And you're like, yeah, he did, son. You on the wrong side, by the way. It's like, yep, celebrated a little too early. But y'all had some scrappy little, I mean, because we weren't we weren't very good back then. Aquinas hadn't figured it out back then.
Right.
But that, and then being a native of Augusta, I don't know if everybody understands the monumental job that, I mean, first of all, Coach Starr is a great human being, which explains, why y'all are such good friends, because you're both really, really good people. But just a monumental job that you did at Laney, because nobody wanted that job when you took that job.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't. That's probably why you were like, yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, and Augusta's a different place. I mean, the way they do sports and the way they do, it's just different. And Laney's down in the bottom. Your kids come from the bottom, and that's not. I mean, they're inner city. We got teachers that walk around. That kid's a thug. No, you had for real gang members at Laney and Josie and Richmond Academy.
Well, I tell you, one of the things that I found out too is that once we were able to really get those kids at Laney sold in on what it is we were trying to do, and we got them to see how it was going to benefit them and what role that they would play in it, I just think that not only did they embrace it, not only did they take pride in it, the loyalty toward us was just through the roof.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that that's one of the things that gets lost sometimes, because we really did not have those kids that just felt like they were privileged to be, looked upon as some type of, a demigod or whatever it is you want to say that we see so much now. And when
there wasn't no Twitter.
Right. When we took them to play in a big ball game, they really treated it like it was us against the world. And, they played with so much emotion. They prepared with so much emotion. And it was awesome, man. It was great. But I'm going to tell you the real thing that I learned about Laney. This is something that, I tell people, and I know you will understand exactly what I'm saying when I say this. The reason that we were really able to get things rolling at Laney is because we had something that a lot of coaches never get, and that's awesome, supportive administration that really saw the value that the program brought to the school.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Welcher was just one. He wasn't an athlete, but he had boys that were pretty good athletes. And the thing that he used to always tell us is that, listen, when those guys are on the field and they're playing hard, and the alumni and the student body and the fan base is going crazy, you don't realize what that does for this entire community and this entire program. And I appreciate it. And what I want is I want to be able to get you anything that I can within my power to help you guys be successful. The only thing I ask is that you be tough on my kids, you love them, you push them to be the best version that they can be, and I hope that you will teach them lessons that's going to carry on into life. And he meant every word of that, because basically what happened is that Dr. Welcher really supported us as well as I've ever heard of an administrator doing it. And so I say all of that to say, one of the pieces of advice that I would give any young coach now, especially if you're going to look for a head job, hey, man, chase administrators. If you find a great administrator that really is into what you're doing and appreciate it, that's the first start. That's probably the biggest thing that you can have in your pocket. More so than talent, more so than booster club money. If you've got great administration in that building, you've probably got a chance to do what needs to be done to get the best out of your kids and your program. And that's what happened to us at Laney.
Well, and you're going to get great support there, because, I mean, most people outside of Augusta don't understand that before desegregation, Laney was the school that the black kids went to.
Right.
Richmond was the school that the white boys went to.
Right.
The white girls went to Tubman. So
Right.
all the old black money in Augusta is at Laney.
Right.
All the old white money was at Richmond, or
Right.
whatever private school they decided to send their kids to.
Right.
And so I mean, the support was there, and it was important to the community that they be good.
It was. And a lot of times what happens is that pride lies dormant, but it's not dead. And I think that's what happened at Laney, because the minute we were able to put a good product on the field, and I'm going to tell you something else that happened to us too that I think that really helped. So, when we did have that first winning season, which was in 2000, I want to say we went like 8-2, 9-1 regular season. We might have went 9-1. I think we lost to Washington County in a great game over in the House of Pain. And we won the first round of the state playoffs at our place. And we go down to Fitzgerald and play. And now we're taking a group that's new to the playoffs down to South Georgia to Fitzgerald. And they're pretty doggone good. As a matter of fact, they end up playing for the state championship. They beat us in a rainstorm. And, you're disappointed you lost. But, boy, you're really thinking, all right, finally, we're in the win column. Second round of the playoffs. We got quite a few kids coming back. Maybe this is the break we needed. And so what we decided, when I say we, I remember Coach Lackey and I talked about this on the bus ride back. Hey, great season, but you do know we've got to get our kids to a point where going into a Fitzgerald and playing in the second round of the playoffs is just not some overwhelming experience. So let's beef up our schedule. Let's go find some people, non-region, that's going to give us the experience that we just had in the second round of the state playoffs. Let's not see if we can't find people that we can beat by 4 touchdowns.
Right.
Let's find people that's going to get us ready. We should be pretty good in the region next year. We should have a chance to be one of those top spots. Let's do it. And we did. I remember us going out and playing Hart County. We picked up Washington Wilkes. Later on, we was able to get folks like Strong Thurman from over in South Carolina, who was really good. We just got a chance to play a much better brand of football than what was happening at the time we got to Augusta, to Laney. And boy, when that started to happen, you start to see big time games being played right there in Augusta, right there at ARC Stadium, because at the time that's where we played our home games. And you just saw a lot of the alumni. I'm talking about people that now had kids playing at other schools in Columbia County or Richmond County.
Right.
That was fine and dandy, but they were going back to see their alma mater play. And we just started to really have what was kind of like a HBCU experience. When you start talking about the tailgaters and everybody knows about Lucy C. Laney Band, and now you're putting a good brand of football with it. So it really became a spectacle in this area of the state. And the pride just started to beam, not just with our players, not just with our student body, but we're talking about some alumni that would tell us, listen, I hadn't been to a ball game in 10 years. And, we're back now. So, yeah, it was a beautiful thing. It really was. And, man, that's a source of pride. But, I have to tell everybody that had a lot to do with a lot of people that were not named Eric Parker. And I'm so appreciative of that and just so happy that I got a chance to be a part of that rebuild.
And in 2006, I showed up with my first head coaching job at Richmond Academy, and you came by within like the first week. And I think you had just taken the Burke County job, or you were about to.
Yeah.
I mean, you were in the process. I think
right.
you were finishing out the year or whatever. And you talked to me and gave me some advice, and I listened to you.
Yeah.
And you were right. And then that was the springboard of you leaving, that huge legacy at Laney and then headed to Burke County.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it was a great move. It was a tough move because, like I said, walking away from Laney was walking away from more than just a job.
Right.
It wasn't just a stop in my career, man. It was family. It's funny you say that because this morning on my way out of here, headed to my mother-in-law's to have dinner for Easter. One of the teachers that was there at Laney was kind of a mentor when I got there. Has been retired for years. She just thought to call me up, like, Coach, I just enjoyed our time together. So those were the relationships that I had. And a lot of the kids keep up with me. We kind of communicate, whether it's social media or they'll actually call me. So I just really felt like that I made family members there. But, it always comes a time and place where you have to make a career move. And we know that when you're in a larger system and there are multiple schools under the same athletic department or the same board, then there's a need to kind of keep everybody at, pretty much the same level. And your ability to grow and experiment and do some of those things you think that you need to do to get better is a little bit limited. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the way it is. I'm not upset about it because the people in Richmond County, the people at Laney gave me an opportunity probably, to be honest, when nobody else would have. So there's no way in the world I would sit here and ever say anything bad. It's just, it is what it is. And you'll see that in a lot of your larger places. So I, like most coaches, just felt like, boy, it would be nice to get out and just try your hands where you're the only show in town, where when you need something, the superintendent is going to drop by practice and check on you. The principal, you're going to be able to get to them and, they don't have to worry about what's being done at all the other schools. And so that was the thing. Plus the fact, obviously, in a place like a Burke County, the paycheck was a little better too. I'd be lying if I kind of left that out.
Got to eat.
So, yeah, got to eat. So, and then the thing you got to remember with teaching, boy, you got to hurry up and get those 2 top consecutive years in for retirement because that pays for life. So, given all of that, man, and I really thought that Burke was a place that, we could win. I thought that we could come in with the coaching style that we had and probably would have more resources. And I was right, coming in, you were able to hire people to do things that you and 1 or 2 other coaches had to do in Richmond County. And you just made that their responsibility, and that was it. And so it was a good career move for me, just financially and everything else. And we got a chance to get it rolling here, won a state championship here, won several regions here, put together a pretty good run of over, 16 years. And boy, like I said, it was a blessing. And I've been able to move back into a community similar to the one that I grew up in, where on Friday night, everybody stops and it's all about, Burke County football. So that's kind of been my career as far as, places I've been. Just feel blessed that, I've been the head coach at 2 great spots, and I've had some great coaches and I've had some great players. And, it's amazing how great coaches and great players have a tendency to make you look pretty good.
Well, let's talk about some of those great players. Who's probably one of the, some of the best ones you've coached?
Oh, man, you're going to put me on the spot. But, yeah, it's been a lot of them. But I think the standouts, obviously, it goes without saying when you talk about the J.K. Sabbs, you talk about the Robert Dunns, and then down here in Burke, there's the Terrell Brighams, the Gator Greens, just some other guys, Dante Lambert, who got a chance to go on and play at Auburn, played in the NFL for a while. So those are some of the guys that are your marquee players that, are probably recognizable names around the state. But when you just start talking about hard-nosed kids that love to be coached and played with a chip on their shoulder on Friday nights, it's a lot of them.
Now, who's the best you've ever coached against?
Ooh. Wow. Man, you put me on the spot. I should have done a little bit of research.
No, I mean, I'm sure as many people, as good as y'all were at Laney, as good as you were at Burke, I mean, you've seen a few.
Yeah,
I mean, we ain't gonna say as good as
I'm
you've
going
ever
to tell you
seen.
the
Who's
guy.
some people you've seen that you were like, oh my God, we got to do something about
I'm
this
going to
cat?
tell you the guy that I think probably dominated a game against us more so than anybody else. And help me with the last name from LaGrange. Sam Agabatugu, played out at Arkansas,
Mm-hmm.
linebacker slash running back. Now, he dominated the game in a playoffs, I want to say 2001. We go over to LaGrange, and that kid is on every play offensively and defensively. And I thought just, the passion he played with probably was one of the best ever. But the problem is, I know guys in the state of Georgia can all say this. I just get tired of watching Division I football on Saturday and the NFL and seeing guys that we had to compete against. And
Yeah,
it's just, it's like, all right,
yeah.
I could just probably name you a group of guys that I have played against that maybe possibly uh, could win a national championship. We played against both Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. When they were in high school, we played against both of them. It's unbelievable at the talent in the state of Georgia. And when you get a chance to play in the playoffs every year, you're going to play against some dogs, as we like to say now.
So you down. Talk about your last game.
Well,
Because I called to check on you, and you were like, "Well, I was doing this, and then I wasn't."
yeah. So let me back up just a little bit because I think this is important. Uh,
Well, I wouldn't bring it
so
up, but
I
I think some of the young kids need to hear. There
yeah.
comes a
So
time when you got to put other things in.
that that's absolutely right. So I try to make it not all my fault, but at the end of the day, it really was. So I developed what I thought and what the doctors actually thought was acid reflux. I would just get to exerting myself after maybe eating lunch or breakfast or whatever. And I would just feel like this burning sensation. I would feel it at night when I would lay down. And so I finally went to the doctor. I explained what was going on and I told him what I thought. And the doctor kind of agreed with me and put me on some medication. It was like, listen, this might take a couple of weeks to help, but all right, let's do this. So, I go and I treat myself or, take the medication for acid reflux and it gets a little better, but it never completely goes away. So a couple of months later, I'm still having these issues. I go back to my doctor. My doctor's looking at me kind of funny. He's like, all right, listen, you're right about that age that we need to start doing some more in-depth stuff. Eric, I think you got acid reflux, but I do want to rule out heart issues. What I want you to do is I want you to go see a cardiologist. I want the cardiologist to take a look. Let's rule out anything to do with the heart. And then if that's the case, we can get you to a specialist that can help with the acid reflux. So I do. I'm not hard headed at all. Of course, now my wife is locked on like a bulldog. She's going to make sure that I go and do exactly what I'm supposed to. So we go do the heart catheterization, the sonogram, you name it, we did it. And so basically, I was given a clean bill of health as far as the heart was concerned. I was told that, whatever I have going on, we're pretty confident it's not your heart. And so, we probably need to go back and push further and let's look into this acid reflux. Well, I'll never forget that was in July. I left the doctor's office feeling relieved and I went straight to camp. It was the second day of 2 days. Well, of the 2 day camp that we could do, the padded camp.
Right. Yeah.
So I go in and I do camp. We're fine. The season starts, going through the season. I'm still having problems off and on. And I'll never forget one afternoon, I'm locking up the field house, getting ready to go home after practice. And I see my superintendent down on the track walking around the game field. Well, I hadn't seen her in a while. We usually kind of check up on each other. And so I walked down and I walked around the track with her, just, catching up. And boy, when I was walking around the track with her, she was walking for exercise, so we were walking at a pretty decent pace. Man, I just knew something wasn't right. I just, I had this burning sensation in my chest. I went home and I told my wife, uh, listen, I don't know what's going on. I know what they told us, but I'm going to get through the end of football season, which was, we were right there at the very end. Uh, I'm going somewhere and somebody's going to have to tell me something because something's not right. Well, we're right there in the middle of one of those crazy situations where we had a game that got canceled due to weather. So we had to get with Georgia High School Association and figure out with 2 weeks left to go in the season, how were we going to get 3 games played? So Georgia High School kind of made some suggestions to us. We played on a Wednesday night at home, and then we had to travel on that Monday night down to Wayne County to play a makeup game. And then on that Friday night, we were going to have to play Southeast Bullock. So you're talking about 3 games in about 11 days.
Mm.
So, yeah, it was a little bit of a stressful time. So we get through Wednesday's game. We go down Monday night. Well, not Monday night, Monday afternoon. A big ball game probably means second place. I have no issues whatsoever. I'm not feeling any problems. We get dressed, we warm up, the game gets started, and I just remember we're getting toward the end of the first quarter, and Wayne had broken contain on us a couple of times. I told my defense coordinator, look, I'm going to get behind our defense. I'm going to walk down the sideline, and I'm going to see what's happening. And I'm thinking, all right, we got some fit issues. We got some containment issues. Let me see what's happening to us. I turned around. I remember Wayne coming to the line of scrimmage. And, Chris, that's it. I don't remember anything else except I got really lightheaded. Next thing I know, I got 2 guys on top of me. And I just wake up. They had just finished giving me CPR. They had shocked me with the AED device, and they told me that I had collapsed. And that's when we kind of found out I had a heart attack right there on the sideline. No pulse, was not breathing, had to be resuscitated. And then, of course, I had to be flown over to Memorial in Savannah to the cardiac unit. And, you and I talked not long after that. And, man, I tell people all the time, I knew something wasn't right, but I heard what I wanted to hear, and I just made something more important than it should have been. So I just tell people, man, take care of yourself. You know your body. You know when something's not right. Sometimes you just got to dig for answers. I feel like I did my part, but at the same time, I think I should have been a little bit more aggressive in seeking treatment and maybe a different prognosis than what I had gotten.
Well, thankfully, it wasn't your time because you still got work to do. And now that you're retired, since Miss Parker retired you after that, you told me she ain't gonna let me go back after this. I'm done.
No, I was done, and I knew. And the doctor basically told me, listen, I'm not gonna sideline you, but now stress is a major thing that you've got to get rid of. And Chris, I don't think that I was one of those yell and go crazy guys. But let's face it, when you do this job, there's only one way to do it, and that's do it hard, do it right. You wear your emotions out on your sleeves. You're constantly, high pitched and ready to go. And I knew that my wife was never going to be comfortable with me being off coaching somewhere after that incident because of the way it all happened. But like I told you earlier when we were talking, I'm a man of faith. I don't think that anything just happens. I think that was the Lord's getting my attention. I think he reminded me of the platform that he had provided for me, and then he reminded me of my responsibilities. And so now that platform is still one that I use. I know it's one that I still have a responsibility for. Not only do I help youngsters, I help young coaches, I help as many people as I can, and I just share some of those things that I've learned and impart some of the wisdom that I've developed. And what I tell folks, I didn't become wise because I was smart. It was just the opposite. I became wise because I made every mistake I think you can make, and I had to learn some hard lessons. And so, that's kind of what we tell our own biological children. I'm not telling you something that I was smart enough to stay away from. I'm telling you something I've been through, and I can kind of keep you from it if you'll listen to me.
Right. And you were
Yeah.
telling me off air about, you knew also it was getting close because of when you get to a certain point. What were you saying about that? When you get to a
Well,
certain...
I think sometimes, and I've heard other coaches say this, sometimes, boy, the best things that happen to you as far as success on the field can turn around and be some really of the worst things. And what I mean by that is, once you play at that high level, once you're able to win a state championship, once you're able to just play as one of the top teams in your area, in your region, in your classification, that becomes the standard by which you want to coach and you want to play at. And you're not always able to do it. And when you're not able to do it, you put more pressure on yourself than anybody will ever think about putting on you. And I know that's the way I was. It was always about what can I do to help us get to the level that I know that we need to be at. And, the big wins, they were still fun, but it was always like it was never enough. And that's one of those things that I tell people, enjoy the moment. Boy, there were some wins. I look back now, we didn't celebrate them near enough. There were some teams that we were able to slip by and it was a big deal, but we were too busy worrying about next. And I know that is the nature of the game, but I do tell you, don't let some of those accomplishments just go by. Don't just blow them off. And I think that's the way I had gotten. And I know a lot of guys my age, they're going to really understand what I say. So, once we came back from COVID, the game had really changed. And some of them I can explain, some of them I can't. I don't know that just the pure fun and joy of strategizing, watching film, preparing your team was ever like it was prior to the whole COVID situation. And I think the game has changed. And I think maybe there were some people like me. It was time. And I think that's something that you can't ignore. When it's time, man, it's time. And you're not going to be able to do this forever. Now, for some people, that might be 40 years. For some people, that may be 15 years. But I think those guys that's going to be able to do this for 40 years have gotten few and far between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it won't be me.
Yeah. So, 33 years was plenty.
Oh, yeah.
And, I look at it, maybe the Lord knew I was never going to be smart enough to understand that. Maybe, he just had to push the push the envelope a little bit. Like, hey, listen, it's time. It's time to do something else. You're not in charge of this. And since you don't seem to understand that, I'm going to kind of, make it plain and clear for you.
So what's retirement look like for Coach Parker now? What are we doing now?
All right, so I am a sales rep for Baker Sporting Good out of Jacksonville. I love it because I get a chance to go around the state of Georgia, and I mainly work this area, though. But, boy, I get a chance to drop in on coaches and administrators. And, after you've done this for as long as people like you and I have done it, we know everybody. So, when I walk in, I'm kind of showing them all the new stuff we have, the equipment, the helmets, shoulder pads. But, man, it really gets down to just checking on my guys and seeing how everybody's doing and just catching up and going back down memory lane. And, again, a lot of times I have some information that I think maybe helps people, and I just love it. So the beautiful thing is after we talk about all the world's problems as far as coaches are concerned, I go get in my car and I go home and I sit on my deck. I don't really have to deal with them anymore. So I actually love that part of it.
That's right.
But that's what I'm doing. And then, of course, I've been blessed. I do quite a bit of ministry work. I go around and I speak to a lot of different teams and organizations. Last fall, I got a chance to go down and do some some pregame stuff for Georgia Southern. Got a chance to do a couple of devotionals for them. And, man, I'm just loving it. The one thing that makes me anxious, and my wife just absolutely goes crazy when I tell her this, I don't like schedules. Schedules give me anxiety now. So I have a lot of things that I plan on doing this week, but I can't tell you when they're going to get done, and I absolutely love them.
That's a good problem to have, Coach.
It is, man. That's what I tell folks. And I'm yet to find that person that did this, retired, and talk about how they hate retirement. I hadn't found that person yet now. And I'm sure there's one out there, but I just, I haven't found them. So, like I said, I'm enjoying myself. And this is the thing that I would tell you. I think I was able to walk away in peace because obviously I got away with my life. That night, that really could have been the end, but the Lord saw fit to leave me here. So that's one of the reasons that I was able to walk away in peace. And the other thing is, and this is a blessing too, I didn't walk away feeling like I owed anybody anything or that I left anything out there. I think that what we had, we took advantage of. I feel grateful for the opportunities I had. I don't feel like I missed out on anything. And I'm not so sure that everybody gets a chance to walk away like that. So I feel blessed that that is the way that I was able to leave. And, man, it was a great career, 33 years, and I have no complaints. Obviously, there are a few ball games that, I look back, man, we didn't win that I wish we could have gotten. I felt like maybe we should have. But I was talking to Coach Jim Dye, who's my offensive coordinator here for most of the time at Burke County. He said, yeah, but Coach, we stole something we wasn't supposed to get either, so it balances out. So when he said it like that, I was like, you know what, Jim, that makes a lot of sense. You're right. I can think of a few games we probably should have gotten beat that we stole. So the ones that we let slip, hey, man, we just going to call it even and we're going to keep it moving.
Well, Coach, the young men that you've touched and you'll continue to touch, and those of us that know you, you've always been a great friend to me. And, just the blessing that you've been to us, that part, not seeing you on the sidelines we'll miss. But, who's not going to buy something from you at Baker Sports? I mean, come on, guys. You're looking for Coach Parker in the southeastern part of the state over there, coming to see you about your shoulder pads and your mouthpieces.
Yeah,
you're going to need
man.
some mouthpieces. And, well, I don't know if they wear knee pads anymore. But
yeah, knee pads, the sales have gone down.
but Coach,
listen, here's how we do that. So you don't need knee pads. We've actually got some pants we can sell you that don't have any knee pad pockets in it.
Well, there you go. There you go. Selling it up.
But no, seriously, man, I love it. But my favorite part of that still is truly going out and being around administrators and coaches and people that, are still in this ministry of coaching and just seeing what they do for young people every day. And if I can help them, I can help them one way or the other.
Well, Coach, I sure do appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on with us, and I can't wait till we meet up again sometime.
Yes, sir, brother. I'll have to drop through and see you. I appreciate you having me on. I enjoyed talking to you, and, man, just love what you do for football in the state of Georgia.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.